Testing, 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 testing. 1, 2. Testing. What the hell is going on here, buddy? Testing, testing. 1, 2. Testing, testing. Okay, let's go to the setting. Testing, 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 testing. There we go. Okay, here we go. Testing. Here we go. We good. All right, all right. We straight. All right, we straight now. We in there. Okay, we good. Okay, okay. You guys can hear me. Let me see if everybody can hear me. There we go. Yeah, we straight. I had to ask my microphone fucking up. All right. All right. Anyway, back to the show. This is the show tonight, man. This is the Wilderness Podcast, the Family Adversity Show. God damn, I finally got this shit out. All right, we good. We straight. Anyway, appreciate you guys for tuning in and being patient with me. It's I don't come on in my office too much, so it seems like if I keep my equipment stale, the shit, you gotta get it back, working like it's supposed to, I guess. But once again, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank you for tuning into the Wilderness Podcast. Again, this is the Family Adversity Show. So we're gonna jump into some things like scenarios, real life situations, and in the particulars that make us who we are. Even when we have families and family members that we don't like and don't even care for sometimes, but you still love them, of course you do. The problem is they remember you as the person that you were. They want to associate with the person that they want to associate you without, you being the actual you. You ever seen Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins? There's a fabrication to it, but it has some value of truth to it because that's how family like to treat you. They'll show you some aspects that you can relate to, and then other aspects you like, no, that's just you and your bullshit right there. Because the problem is, it has to do with loyalty and lies. The double L's that family hold on your ass. Loyalty and lies. They tie them in. They feel like they can lie. You should be loyal. You should always choose my side. Don't give a fuck. They're outsiders. I don't give a damn. You're supposed to choose me. You're like, wait a minute. Wait a second. So I got to go for bullshit and lies to associate and fuck with you? No, we cool, pimp. Love you from a distance. Back off. Get the fuck out my face. I don't want to deal with that bullshit. But see, you have to understand your family don't own you. They don't. You're not owned by your family members, man. No nobody. It's a thing though because most black households, you grow up with each other. You grow up tough. You grow up in certain situations that you develop through. You know what I mean? You come full circle through certain particular situations. So that makes you stronger, close knit, tight. But when it becomes an obsession, you don't want to deal with no shit like that because that's too much rulership over your development. The problem is some people in your family want to keep you in your place by trying to quote unquote tell you about yourself. I know how funny and silly that shit is because hell, I got family members that think they can tell you about yourself. You don't even know who the fuck I am. Not for real. You do, but you don't. But that's the way people are. They it's called a false sense of power and a false sense of realization. It's a form of family cognitive dissonance. They feel like they got this false, fictitious power that you should be able to do what they want you to do, but yet and still, you say, I do what I want to do. But some people, they play along with these scenarios and situations as if that's the status quo, like that's what they're supposed to do. That's I don't understand what that is, but it's something that is familiar with certain types of families. It just is. I mean, yeah, that's my that's my certain type of. I come from a certain type of family. Apparently, the problem with that scenario going into an equation is the fact that you can't really grow up then. You can't become a real person, a developed person. You can't even pursue development because you're too tied into loyalty, lies, and you know, situations that you can't get out of because of you won't develop, you won't grow up, you won't grow out of the situation, you won't pull yourself, and you won't push yourself through your family adversity. Some people let their families choose for them, choose their mates, choose their friends, choose everything in their life, and they have no mental way out of it. They don't even know what's driving them crazy. It's your family. It is very healthy to get out into the world and pursue life and actually experience other kinds of people. Some people live in turmoil their whole life. Some people keep a very close relationship with their family members, which is great too, because everybody don't have the same story. Some families have it together so well that they pursue empires and destinies, and they're able to accomplish so much because they all buy in. Everything is not about chaos. Everything is not about disassociations. Everything is not. It's all about development, and that's what I feel like all families should do. All families, instead of the adverse side of situations, just to participate in the economic side of what you should bring and what you should have to bring, to the table. You don't have to do it in one household. You don't have to do it like that, but you always should have a hand in building. That's my version. That's my vision. But see, the one thing that gets in the way of that is generational curses and not identifying them. Generational curses and not identifying how you should address situations with your family so that you can grow and become stronger together. You should be more transparent and less judgmental so that we can help each other grow forward, go and grow forward. But see, the problem is, in a lot of households, there's a lot of judgment, resentment, lies, and loyalty. Creates a lot of family adversity. And that's because people want to get their way. Do you see a lot of movies where you got the overprotective sister or the overprotective brother? Or even those situations where the mother is always against the daughter-in-law, vice versa, those type of wicked situations. People allow these things to happen because they need something to do when they should find other things to do, something more constructive, something far more developmental for you at your age. But the problem is we have set ourselves so far away from these things that elders are not real elders anymore. They don't even want to be an elder. They want to be in the youth game. It's okay with keeping your youth and staying young forever, but that's like me dyeing my motherfucking hair and trying to look like I'm 30, knowing damn well I'm 45. The problem is nobody wants to be an elder. Nobody wants to be a truth teller anymore. They're too busy trying to say, I'm trying to get it out here like the young folks. And that's all well and good, but what way are you doing it? Why are we bottlenecking in mentalities? Why are you trying to stay young and not give advice to the young? That's bottlenecking. You want to be like the youth, and the youth ain't gonna listen to you. You steady trying to be your children's age. And you can't blame it on the fact that you didn't have a childhood. Shit, I ain't have much of one either. But I appreciate the stages of where I am today in life and how I can pursue that as it comes. That's facing adversity. So when you face adversity, You have to do one thing: conquer it. Don't run from it. Run through it. See, some people don't have those capabilities. Let me make sure I'm still live. Make sure I can still hear myself. Testing. So when you face adversity, here we go. We still on. Okay, cool. So yeah, just had to make sure I'm still, I'm still broadcasting. Everything's good. I don't like those scares because it throw me off my little rhythm and shit. So we put a little music for us to keep riding out with it. Hope you understand. Hope you ride with me. Yeah, we still got our music on. Good. Still got our we gonna put a little music. All right, check it out. Okay. Let me get that turned down just a little bit more. So it's pretty cool. Got a little unique beat, little flavor to it. But yeah, what I'm trying to explain to you is everything doesn't have to be so adversarial. You have to respect your family members from where they are in life and who they want to be for themselves and how they want to develop and how they want to develop their families. The problem is some people want to put their nose in the shit that ain't got nothing to do with theirs, even if that's your family member. You can't claim no dominion or nothing that go on when that person have their own situation and all kind of shit going on. Who the fuck you think you is? That's insane and preposterous. It's also hypocritical. Because you let somebody try that shit with you and see what you'll do to them. Changes the whole game, doesn't it? But I hope you understand hypocrisy is the name of the game of what they call the new world. Look how many lies they told about so much, and you understand how you suffer in the state of confusion simply because the world has a continuation of lying, and now lies are perishing and truth is coming to the surface. That's what happens when the family adversity. You can't hide your lies no more. You can't hide the bullshit that you stoked. See, a lot of people buy into shit simply because you were told to do so. Your mama did it, your grandparents did it, but you never made the correction. You never pivoted for your damn self. You never found out what was suitable for you. That's a problem. And it's a problem because it's something that you probably are unaware of and don't even know why you are so uncomfortable. I stopped being uncomfortable about 32 years old. I just stopped. I just stopped being uncomfortable. I stopped accepting shit that ain't make sense to me no more. And I had to understand how to pivot forward and through a lot of situations. It's called the ability to stop lying to yourself about shit. And you have to face things as they are so that you can move forward in a positive light without denying self. See, when you deny self, you deny so much. You take so much out of your own equation. You don't even get the full sum of you because you're too busy giving that shit to other people. Your energy, your efforts, and you yield nothing in fucking return. Why would you do that? That's a slave. See, that's not recognizing that you are your own strength. You should talk better about yourself, for yourself, and to yourself through yourself. That is the betterment of you because words are powerful, because words are spells. So if you know that words are spells, don't ever cast negative spells on yourself. It leaves a gaping hole to where everybody else that talk negative about you, you allow them to do it. You allow them to just pour all of that shit into your heart, into your soul. That hurts and kills people. Because in your brain, it's a negative excretion. Negative. So what you do is you never open up those valves You never open up those gaping holes because you leave yourself so vulnerable, extremely vulnerable. You don't give yourself a way out, but you give so many people a way in. Sound familiar? Some of you ladies out there, gaping holes. Some of you boys out there, gaping holes. Too many spirits are running around and up in you. Let me give you another little tidbit for you ladies that love to give your preciousness to so many. When you think you can behave like a man, you think you can behave, you know, when you got your daddy issues, ladies. Like I say, this is a family adversity show. We're going to discuss a lot of family issues. You got a lot of ladies out here that don't have fathers. And then the men that look at as a daddy will take advantage of that said lady or girl or situation. Manipulator, liars, and loyalty. Why you lie so much? Yeah, it's a situation, it's a problem, it's a condition. You want something for nothing. You want to manipulate. You want to run through. But see, that little young girl ain't got no chance because you done trained her mind to think that she's something that she didn't have to be, but you made her. And some of them want to be that way. Some of them born whores. For real. Born like that. That's how they is. You know it. I mean, if y'all don't listen to Cora Open 5150, they'll tell you how they pussy belong. The streets. Yeah. Everybody tapping her little ass. Everybody get a hold of her. She devalues herself on purpose. She loves it. It makes her feel well. She's a rotten soul. You know how many different types of specimen that's running around up in her in her body, all up and through her mind. That drives a woman crazy. But she controls who lays with her. They even had one of these old little porn stars out here talking about a real man and married woman. You know he won't. He got to deal with you and every other man that put semen up in you. He can only deal with that if he's like that himself. Mhm. Like a diddler type of stuff. You know, it's somebody for everybody. You know, but some people are perverted. Um, Freaky is freaky. I'm freaky. But perversion, nah. Some people are pedophiles. We have a president. Yeah. See, this shit runs so ragged and deep, and you understand, like, to be honest with you, if you read and understood the stories of the inception of this country, this motherfucker was the original Epstein Island. Everybody fucking everybody. Rampantly. See, it didn't take long for the pale skin to become a lot. The ideology, the power, even some melanated people bought into that power. They even painted themselves pale. It was a sycophant nature, a class of people. Oh yeah. You don't even understand how some of these take places, like what's it? I think is I believe it's I want to say Sodom and Gomorrah was Pompeii. Pompeii. They took the story of Sodom and Gomorrah and Pompeii. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it's Pompeii, the one that got destroyed by the volcano, and how much hedonism, you know, hedonism, all that male uh, sycophant boys, and you know that Greek culture, you know, is very big on homoeroticism and boy man That's the Greek culture. That's the most sycophant shit that they contributed to humanity, but they didn't. Um, those records didn't exist because in the melanated origins of most countries, that shit, no, it ain't go down. No, that is that started with the Greeks. That's it. No religions started with the Greeks. No spiritual systems. That was all taken. That was conceptions. Those were rewritings into their image, which is, those things kept happening over all of the land masses. So let me give you a little intricacy of what I'm talking about here. Oh, I gotta read the book that I was reading yesterday. All right, so I want to read this book to you right here. Gotta make sure you can see it. Yeah, you see it. The Indian Territory is chief legislators and leading men. I was reading about one of my ancestors, Mr. Perry, Joseph M. Perry, my cousin Keisha Perryman. That's her last name. She's my first cousin. So I'm related to my first cousin Keisha on both my mother and my father's side. We're from Pensacola, Florida. So you imagine there are a lot of people, no inclusion, but separate families, same from my cousin. So my father is Cecil. So here's our ancestor here. Joseph M. Perryman, the prominent citizen, was born near Muskegon Creek Nation in 1833, the third son of Maya Perry. The third son of Mays Perry, who held the high office during his lifetime. The young man was sent to school at Calwetta Mission in 1853. When he began his studies for the Presbyterian ministry, continuing the same for 3 years, before the breakout of the war, he was licensed to preach the gospel, but when his cousin of war was founded, he joined the Confederate service under Colonel D. N. McIntosh and held rank in various capacities until the close. When the war ended, he went to uh, Wapanuka, Chickasaw Nation, and was there ordained for the Presbyterian ministry of the Creek Nation. It was then that Mr. Perryman organized what is known as the Norfolk Presbyterian Church. At the period, he took charge in a mission school under the South Presbyterian Synod and held a position for 4 years. The state and the country together in the train of circumstances conspiracy to force Mr. Perryman to the front of the political arena, and he was an elected member of the National Senate, which his office filled for 8 years. In 1874, he became the treasurer for the nation and held a position from 1878 to 1879. It was during the period of office that the great change occurred in the religious conviction of Mr. Perryman, which led to his change of faith. Abandoning the Presbyterian, he began to staunch belief in a member of the Baptist Church. He came soon after ordained minister, but the political conditions of the country demanded his services, and so he has taken an activity and part mission of the missionary work in 1883. He was elected governor of the Creek Nation and held office for 4 years. Forbid he taken active part in missionary work in 1883, and he was elected governor of the Creek Nation and held office for 4 years in 1890. Although anxious for retirement from politics, Mr. Perryman was again inducted into that and accepted into preferment and beginning elected in the council filled a responsible position as president of the Board of Education, which office he held at present. It is indeed in appeared as though he were destined to walk in the high places and far in greater position for his life having been spent in the fulfillment and execution of legislation administrative duties It must not be forgotten that Mr. Perryman had also had considerable experience in the bench of having occupied the honorable position of judge in the Supreme Court in or about the year 1873. He was also superintendent of public schools in 1866 and member of the Blue Lodge of Masonry. Our subject was filled in the office of secretary and June warden in that order. So there's Bennett, there's Perryman, there's John Franklin Wilson. Let me tell you, let me give you one. A great deal of his chief legislative men, but here's a list of a lot of great deal of honorable men before, you know, these other people. There's another book that I want to read you about. Another great. Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you about another which causes a lot of these family fights. This is Lincoln's Free Soil for Settlers. Check this out. An Indigenous People's History of the United States by Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz. Let me read you this right here. This is something else. This one I tell you that blood quantum is some bull shit. Check it out. Abraham Lincoln's campaign for presidency appealed to the vote of land poor settlers who demanded that the government open indigenous lands west of the Mississippi. They were called free soilers in reference to cheap land free of slavery. The new gold rushes and other incentives brought new waves of settlers to squat on the indigenous land. For this reason, for some indigenous people preferred the Confederate victory, which might divide and weaken the United States, which has grown even more powerful. Indigenous nations in the Indian Territory were more directly affected by the Civil War than anywhere else. As discussed in Chapter 6 in the Southwest nations of the Cherokees, Muskogee, Seminole, Choctaw, and Chickasaw, the five civilized tribes were forcibly removed from their homes during the Jackson administration. But in the Indian Territory, they rebuilt their townships, farms, ranches, institutions, including newspapers, schools, and orphanages. Although a tiny elite of each nation was wealthy and owned enslaved Africans and private estates, the majority of the people continued their collective, agrarian practices. All five nations signed treaties with the Confederacy, which each for similar reasons. Within the nation, however, it was clear division based on class, often misleading expressions of a conflict between mixed bloods and full bloods. That is, the wealthy, assimilated slave-owning minority that dominated politics in favor of the Confederacy, and the non-slave owning poor and traditional majority wanted to stay out of the Anglo-American Civil War. Historian David Chang founded the Muskogee nationalism and well-founded distrust of the federal power played a major role in bringing about the nation's strategic alliances with the Confederacy. Chang writes, was the Creek Council Alliance of the South a racist defense of slavery and a class privilege? It was also nationalist defense of the Creek lands and sovereignty. The answer had to be both. John Ross, principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, was at first called for neutrality and changed his mind for reasons similar to the Muskogee and asked the Cherokee Council to authority to negotiate a treaty with the CSA. Nearly 7,000 men of the five nations went into battle with the Confederacy. Stan Watee, a Cherokee, held a post brigadier general in the Confederacy Army. His first Indian Brigade and of the Army of the Trans-Mississippi was among the last units in the field to surrender the Union Army. On June 23rd, 1865, more than 2 months after Lee's surrender of the Army of North Virginia, the Appomattox Courthouse in April in 1865. During the war, however, many indigenous soldiers became disillusioned with and went over to the Union forces, along with enslaved African Americans who fled to freedom. Another story to equally important, though through led often told, a few months after the war broke out, some 10,000 men, Indian Territory, made up of indigenous volunteers, along with African Americans who had freed themselves, and even though Anglo Americans engaged in guerrilla warfare against the Confederacy Army, they fought they fought from Oklahoma into Kansas, where many of them joined unofficial units that had been organized by abolitionists who were trained by John Brown years earlier. This was not likely the kind of war that Lincoln administration had desired. A multi-ethnicity a multi-ethnic volunteer union contingent fighting pro-slavery forces in Mississippi, in Missouri, where enslaved Africans escaped to join the Union side. The self-liberation of African Americans, according to all over the South, led Lincoln's 1863 Emancipation Proclamation, which allowed freed Africans to serve in combat. You see the difference? Do you understand that the proof is in the damn pudding, in the damn stories right here? Enslaved Africans as well as indigenous, disillusioned indigenous people were fighting on both damn sides of the coin in the equation. That's what created foundational Black Americans. There you have it. That's the story. That's in the damn books if you read good enough. So we here. We join forces. We combine. We're brothers. Anyway, happy to be back. Happy to add a little bit more. Everything, but check it out. That's why we have to get over the adversity that we have amongst each other and in family. That shit, that hurt, that pain is critical in a run deep. Love conquers all. That's the show tonight. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Keep in mind, in order to make change, you got to do this one thing and understand it very well. Take it to task. The will is go. Find some peace. Humility is not a bad thing. Take care, people. Peace.